Originality is independence, not rebellion. It is sincerity, not antagonism. The important consequences to the American states from this Declaration of Independence, considered as the ground and foundation of a future government, naturally suggest the propriety of proclaiming it in such a manner as that the people may be universally informed of it. A tragic irony of life is that we so often achieve success or financial independence after the chief reason for which we sought it has passed away. I have grown up alone. I've taken care of myself. I worked, earned money and was independent at 18. True independence and freedom can only exist in doing what's right. You cannot build character and courage by taking away a man's initiative and independence. The most effective check and balance on government has been an independent press which maintains its credibility by ensuring that its criticism is balanced and based on fact, based indeed on solid journalistic work. Impatience is the mark of independence, not of bondage. Diversity, the art of thinking independently together. I am no bird, and no net ensnares me. I am a free human being with an independent will. What you get free costs too much. I think there's great potential for autonomy, but we have to remember that we live in a world where people may have free will but have not invented their circumstances. A primary function of art and thought is to liberate the individual from the tyranny of his culture in the environmental sense and to permit him to stand beyond it in an autonomy of perception and judgment. Independence means you decide according to the law and the facts. The truth is that since childhood I had cultivated an existential independence. It came from perceiving the adults around me as unreliable, and without it I felt I wouldn't have survived. I cared deeply for everyone in my family, but in the end I depended on myself. I know of no country in which there is so little independence of mind and real freedom of discussion as in America. The Declaration of Independence was always our vision of who we wanted to be, our ideal of freedom and justice, how we were going to be different, and what the American experiment was going to be about. Independence I have long considered as the grand blessing of life, the basis of every virtue, and independence I will ever secure by contracting my wants, though I were to live on a barren heath. Independence? That's middle-class blasphemy. We are all dependent on one another, every soul of us on earth. The world is independent of my will. The bedrock of our democracy is the rule of law, and that means we have to have an independent judiciary, judges who can make decisions independent of the political winds that are blowing. What then is freedom? The power to live as one wishes. The most unpardonable sin in society is independence of thought. At the bottom of education, at the bottom of politics, even at the bottom of religion, there must be for our race economic independence. Nature never said to me, do not be poor, still less did she say, be rich. Her cry to me was always, be independent. Mickey Mouse is, to me, a symbol of independence. He was a means to an end. There's no such thing as an independent person. Unlike a drop of water which loses its identity when it joins the ocean, man does not lose his being in the society in which he lives. Man's life is independent. He is born not for the development of the society alone, but for the development of his self. The best teamwork comes from men who are working independently toward one goal in unison. Charity is injurious unless it helps the recipient to become independent of it. I admire the courage and self-reliance it takes to start your own business and make it succeed. There is an inverse relationship between reliance on the state and self-reliance. I will be vigilant to protect the independence and integrity of the Supreme Court, and I will work to ensure that it upholds the rule of law and safeguards those liberties that make this land one of endless possibilities for all Americans. The man who is aware of himself is henceforward independent, and he is never bored, and life is only too short, and he is steeped through and through with a profound yet temperate happiness. We must have constantly present in our minds the difference between independence and liberty. Liberty is a right of doing whatever the laws permit, and if a citizen could do what they forbid he would no longer be possessed of liberty. Independence is a heady draught, and if you drink it in your youth, it can have the same effect on the brain as young wine does. It does not matter that its taste is not always appealing. It is addictive, and with each drink you want more. I wanted to be an independent woman, a woman who could pay for her bills, a woman who could run her own life, and I became that woman. Those who won our independence valued liberty as an end and as a means. They believed liberty to be the secret of happiness and courage to be the secret of liberty. It matters enormously to a successful democratic society like ours that we have 3 branches of government, each with some independence and some control over the other 2. That's set out in the Constitution. I guess you'd call me an independent, since I've never identified myself with one party or another in politics. I always decide my vote by taking as careful a look as I can at the actual candidates and issues themselves, no matter what the party label. Follow the path of the unsafe, independent thinker. Expose your ideas to the danger of controversy. Speak your mind and fear less the label of crackpot than the stigma of conformity. There is no dignity quite so impressive, and no one independence quite so important, as living within your means. Injustice in the end produces independence. I'm for absolute autonomy of the individual, and an adult, competent woman has absolute autonomy. It's her choice. I have an independent streak. You know, it's kind of hard to tell an independent woman what to do. The 4 cornerstones of character on which the structure of this nation was built are initiative, imagination, individuality, and independence. True freedom is the capacity for acting according to one's true character, to be altogether oneself, to be self-determined and not subject to outside coercion. Part of your heritage in this society is the opportunity to become financially independent. It is not the greatness of a man's means that makes him independent, so much as the smallness of his wants. Without moral and intellectual independence, there is no anchor for national independence. Visit our website for more quotes, quoting.com.